When Obi-Wan met his end at the hands of Vader aboard the Death Star, many believed it was a great triumph for the Empire. For Luke, it was a devastating loss, the death of a mentor and the beginning of a journey filled with pain and destiny. For Vader, it was a personal victory, but one tinged with the bitter taste of his past. Yet, there is one figure whose reaction to Obi-Wan's death remains shrouded in mystery: the Emperor. We never saw his response on screen because he didn't show up until The Empire Strikes Back. But thanks to the canon short story Palpatine, we now know what went through his mind when Vader informed him that Obi-Wan was dead. So let's jump into the canon book Star Wars from a Certain Point of View to see how Palpatine reacted to Obi-Wan's death and explore what it really meant for the Sith, Vader, and for the galaxy. When Vader returned to his master and delivered the news, Palpatine listened, and for the first time in a long while, he felt something unexpected: surprise. He had not anticipated that Obi-Wan had survived for so long. There was no outward display of shock, but within, he reeled. Obi-Wan had survived longer than most of his kind, slipping through the cracks of the Empire's grasp, but now his presence was extinguished. What truly caught Palpatine off guard was not just the fact that Obi-Wan was dead, it was the manner of his death. Vader explained how at the moment of striking down his former master, Obi-Wan's body simply vanished. One moment he was there, the next he was gone. Palpatine narrowed his eyes, trying to grasp the meaning behind this. It was a phenomenon he had never encountered. The Sith had no tradition of such things, no teachings that explained a body disappearing into the Force, and it unsettled him. Palpatine's confusion was hidden beneath layers of composed authority, but inside he questioned the power Obi-Wan had tapped into at his final moment. Was this some forgotten Jedi technique, a trick, or was it something more? He could sense no lingering presence, no spectral form, but the mystery gnawed at him nonetheless. Adding to the puzzle, reports from Imperial troops began to surface. They spoke of Kenobi's years in hiding, revealing that he had lived all that time on Tatooine, a barren, insignificant desert world, far from the centers of power. Palpatine pondered this with growing curiosity. Why Tatooine? What was Kenobi doing there? Was it merely a place to hide, or was there a greater purpose? The Emperor's mind raced through possibilities. Had he been watching something or someone? The thought unsettled him further. Even more troubling was the realization that Palpatine had not known Obi-Wan was still alive. For years he had believed Kenobi to be dead or lost, like so many of the scattered Jedi. This revelation stirred an uneasy thought. If Obi-Wan had survived, what about the others? What of Yoda? Palpatine had always assumed that Yoda too had fallen into obscurity or perished, but now doubt crept into his mind. If Kenobi could remain hidden for so long, perhaps Yoda could as well. And if both had survived, were there others? Were there more threats lurking in the shadows, waiting to rise? Obi-Wan's death was a cause for celebration, but it also forced Palpatine to reevaluate his understanding of the present moment. Beneath his cold exterior, he felt something more subtle: relief. Not joy or triumph, but a quiet, calculating satisfaction. Obi-Wan Kenobi had always been a symbol of resistance, not just for the galaxy, but for Darth Vader himself. He had been a lingering shadow over the Sith, a remnant of the old Jedi Order that had once threatened to destroy everything Palpatine had built. With Obi-Wan gone, one of the last ties to Anakin Skywalker's past was severed, and that was what pleased Palpatine the most. Palpatine had never really feared Obi-Wan. The Jedi Master was skilled, yes, and resourceful, but he was not a true danger, even if he had been able to defeat Vader on Mustafar. The real threat had always been the bond between Obi-Wan and Anakin, a bond that Palpatine had worked tirelessly to break. Obi-Wan had been Anakin's teacher, friend, and brother. As long as Obi-Wan lived, there remained a chance, however small, that he could reach Darth Vader and pull him back from the darkness. Now that possibility was extinguished. In the quiet moments after hearing the news, Palpatine reflected on the path that had led them there. He thought of the Jedi Purge, of the temple burning, of Anakin's transformation into Vader. All of it had been part of his plan, a masterpiece of manipulation and control, and yet Kenobi had escaped. He had hidden, biding his time on Tatooine. Perhaps Palpatine had allowed it, knowing that eventually death would find him. But he had not expected it to happen now, after all these years. To Palpatine, Obi-Wan's death was more than the fall of a single Jedi. It was the end of a chapter. It was the final proof that Anakin was gone and only Darth Vader remained. Palpatine believed that with Obi-Wan dead, there was nothing left to anchor Vader to his former life. The past was dead, and with it, any remnants of weakness. But even as he savored the moment, Palpatine could not ignore a faint stirring in the Force. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it was there. A ripple, as if the galaxy itself was reacting to Obi-Wan's death. The Emperor paused. He was a master of foresight, but even he could not see all. The Force was vast, its currents mysterious, and sometimes it moved in ways even he could not predict. And then Palpatine's thoughts shifted. From Kenobi and the scattered remnants of the Jedi, his mind turned to the present war, to the rebellion that dared defy his rule. The time for reflection was over. The Death Star was now fully operational. It had already destroyed Jedha City, the Citadel at Scarif, and annihilated Alderaan without hesitation. Now the rebels would be found. Their hidden base on Yavin 4 was exposed, and soon they too would be destroyed. The news of Kenobi's death steeled Palpatine's resolve. It was more than a symbolic victory, it was a sign. The last vestiges of the old order were crumbling, and now, with the rebellion in his grasp, he could finish what Vader had started by killing Kenobi. Yavin 4 would be obliterated, a demonstration to the galaxy of the Empire's absolute power. The last of the Jedi and the rebels would be swept away. Palpatine dismissed his lingering thoughts about Kenobi and Yoda, and about hidden threats. Those would be dealt with in time. For now, the focus was on crushing the rebellion. With the Death Star as his ultimate weapon, Palpatine believed that no one could stand against the Empire. Whatever the future held, he would meet it as he always had, with cunning and power. For now, he focused on the present. He turned his attention back to Vader. Palpatine considered the victory complete. Obi-Wan was dead, the last of the old Jedi heroes had fallen, and with that, his dominion over the dark side and over Vader was absolute. Yet, deep within the shadows of his mind, Palpatine felt a flicker of a presence. He could not name it, could not see it clearly, but it was there, and it would not be ignored forever. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did, and as always, may the Force be with you.